G'day and welcome to the latest edition of Rugby League Insider. We do it all thanks to the good people at FanaticsTV. We're live on the YouTubes. If you want to tune in via the podcast, Spotify, Apple Music, all good retail outlets. Round 3, one and done. A million narratives to come out of it as usual. And joining me as always, the co-hostess with the mostess, Darcie McDonald. How are we?
I'm great. How are you?
Going very good. Tell you what, a lot to talk about after another topsy-turvy, twists and turns, everything going on round of rugby league.
Yep. It's never a straight parallel line in rugby league.
Never.
That's why we love it.
That is why we love it. Correct. The greatest game of all. And the man with the best name in the podcasting business, Brandon Savage. How are you, mate?
I'm very good. It feels like after round 3, top 4's done and dusted. Just call the competition.
You're calling things off already.
No, I'm not saying the competition's done, but the overreactions from every fan, including myself, is just over the top.
Yeah, well, look, the Panthers, we're going to get to them in a second. They are in ominous form at the moment. Kiss. I'll tell you what. But, mate, I'm a bit worried about you. You seemed a little bit flat there. Everything all right? There was a weekend okay?
Oh, yeah, the weekend was fine. I didn't like the rain. I love watching the footy in the sun. But, yeah, the rain killed my mood 100%. But, I'm raring to go, ready for round 4 to come up this week. But reviewing round 3 today, obviously.
We are. And it's always glass half full on Rugby League Insider. So Penrith have rinsed the Roosters. We'll start there on Friday night. I'll tell you what, Darcie, Nathan Cleary, I can't remember him starting a season in better form.
Yep.
Probably Dylan Edwards the same. And then Brian Toto with that double chip and chase that he's claiming was inspired by Mary Fowler.
Yeah.
That was a statement, an early statement. Look, you don't win premierships in March, but very hard not to like what the Panthers are putting together early doors.
They are bloody brilliant. Don't play a grand final, don't play a World Club Challenge, don't go to Vegas, and it has done them the world of good because they are primed and ready to go to win another premiership. They just look like they've clicked into gear so early. Curious now to see if they can, because they're already heads and shoulders above everybody else in the competition. Are they going to maintain that for the next, 24 rounds? That's what I'm intrigued by the most. Or obviously Origin period will hit them because they have a lot of players that will be in contention. And what about Tom Jenkins? Like he is
the Milky Bar kid.
Such a great story. Preseason last year, it was training with Ron Massey Cup St. Mary's.
And is that right?
Yes, he was playing with my husband.
Yeah, right.
At St. Mary's. Shout out to St. Mary's. So he was up in Newcastle.
They win the comp?
They won the comp,
There you go. They're going all right.
He was in Newcastle, didn't have a deal.
Yep.
He has a lot of friends in Penrith, so thought, you know what, I'm just going to go back to Penrith. Signed with St. Mary's in Ron Massey Cup, was killing it in pre-season. They pulled him up to New South Wales Cup and then was killing it there, comes in, plays first grade last year, and he hasn't looked back.
We love those stories.
Yeah,
we love those stories.
Story.
8 tries in the opening 3 games. Brandon, I know you're very good with numbers. If he continues on this trajectory, what does he finish on at the end of the season?
Well, he'll finish up on 71 tries he would end up on.
Look out, Alex Johnston.
That shan't be happening, I don't think. But I don't want to take any gloss off what Milky's already done to start the year because he is absolutely on fire, as are the Panthers. It feels as though they've got a bit of shit on their liver, to me, guys, from last year. I think they see it as an opportunity lost. I think people delighted when Penrith were last at the halfway mark of last year's competition. It was splashed all over the headlines, made a lot of talkback programs. And I think as a result of that, that's lit a real fuse inside the playing group. And the way that they have catapulted themselves out of a cannon to begin the year, ominous signs for the rest of the competition. Brandon, I'll come to you. What did you live out that way? What's the buzz like out in the Golden West of Sydney at the moment?
Yeah, obviously over the last 4 years, there's been an abundance of Penrith jerseys everywhere I go out. And the start of last year, they started to filter out a little bit halfway through the year, but then they came back. I thought it was a really good performance in their first 3 rounds. Only letting in 2 tries in the first 3 rounds is ridiculous. But it's not even them and what I see from them, it's how fit they look at the same time. Dylan Edwards, Nathan Cleary, Isaiah Yeo, all players who have had really extended short preseasons in the past because they've played rep footy, they've had surgeries, etc., etc. They haven't really had that in this last preseason. So they're looking fit, and if they keep it up for the whole year, they're really probably the top contenders. One person I did think really stood out was Paul Alamotti on the right centre. Drop your run sheet there.
Grab that bus.
Isaac Tungo has been dropped, I assume, and that it's proof of the pudding of why it's happened. Paul Alamotti in that right edge and Milky Jenkins on the left edge. Like their side has only gotten better since last year, towards the end of last year, and that's a scary prospect for the rest of the competition.
Paul Alamotti was such a good pickup too. Like he was without a deal when the Bulldogs chose not to re-sign him. And I remember talking to Ivan Cleary about Paul Alamotti, and he said he couldn't believe it. Like he actually couldn't believe that he was without a deal and they could get him so cheap as well. Like it's that when you look at his form now, it actually is true. Like how are no other clubs coming for Paul Alamotti?
I'll tell you one philosophy that I reckon the Panthers have ripped off the Storm is looking at players who've fallen out of favour at certain clubs but have been talents at some point of their career, looking for the diamonds in the rough. Alamotti's a good example. The back rower that they got from the West Tigers, Isaiah Papali'i, is another good example. Was carving it at Para, goes to the Tigers on the big money deal, doesn't quite work out the way that it was expected to.
Pangai Jr. Remember when they brought him at the back end of that season? And he was great for them.
He was good. I think he got injured in the prelim, didn't he, and missed out on the GF. But no, Tavita's another example. And then they've just got that world's biggest junior nursery that they've got the procession line humming in, their mats, their ball, their flag, everyone is firing on all cylinders. And then, of course, the other talking point out of that game, equally as big as how dominant Penrith were, is how shithouse the Roosters were. One early try, and then aside from that, bitterly disappointing given that they had their best spine. So much hype, so many headlines around the fact that DCE and Reece Robson were joining the club over the course of the summer, and then to produce what they did with that spine on the field for the first time all united. I'll tell you what, there's going to be some tough conversations going on around the Roosters boardroom and also the inner sanctum at the moment, because they won't want to be having 40 put on them on too many other occasions this season, Darcie.
It'll be a bit of a watch and see this week up against Manly, because, look, like the Panthers are just so good. The Roosters were never going to win that game. I'm sorry, but they weren't. But it is also a very sobering reality for them, because remember, so many people looked at the team on paper and thought they are premiership contenders. They are going to be really hard to beat. They're the big dogs, right? Up there with the Penriths and the Storms. And they got humbled. But again, at the same time, we're talking about this incredible oiled machine Penrith. I want to now see the Roosters up against Manly, and I expect them, or they should be, putting on 30-plus points, in my opinion, because Manly are not even in the same stratosphere as Penrith at the moment.
Not at the moment. And, of course, all the talk in the lead up to this game, Rugby League delivers again. It's going to be all about DCE back at Brookie. Personally, Brandon, I think he's going to cop a bit of heat this time from the hill. I know last year there was a small section of the crowd who gave him a bit of curry after he made his announcement. He had to front up and play against the Eels for Manly that day on a sunny Sunday arvo. I think the fact that Manly were on that day and won quite convincingly certainly helped. But I would now say that in a rival team's jumper and coming off a humbling experience against the Panthers, I think DC will cop a little bit of a reception from the Brookvale faithful. How do you see it?
I think so too. I remember last year when he made the announcement, I was hoping that the fans would be kind to him, because I thought he handled it really nicely, the way his exit was. But then coming out this year in another team's jumper, the Manly fans are going to pepper him, and I'm excited for this week. I think he's a professional. He's an absolute champion. I think he'll perform well, and he'll probably have a blinder this week. But, I expect nothing less but the Manly fans to absolutely pepper him, and rightly so. It's tribalism.
Oh, we love it. That's part of the beauty of the game. The other big talking point, though, around this game, and it is a sensitive one, right? I love this bloke as a player and as a bloke, Jakey Trbojevic, Manly's spiritual leader, Manly's heart and soul. I love how when Daly signed with the Roosters last year and copped a lot of flack about announcing it on a TV show, not wearing a club polo, basically blindsiding club officials at the time. The first player who was happy to front the cameras was Jake, and he didn't bullshit. He didn't try and play politics like others in the game might. Jake just said, look, I couldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I couldn't do that to Manly. I love this club. He really is, he epitomises everything that the Manly Seagulls stand for. But having wrapped him up deluxe, or glazing as you like to say these days, got a glow up slaying. Jake's at a tough spot in his career now. If I'm not a numbers cruncher in terms of the statistical, analytical side of the game, but I've seen enough and I've watched enough over the opening couple of rounds that Coach Anthony Seibold's got a really tough decision here, because he's coaching to try and save his own career, which in all likelihood I don't think is going to survive beyond this season. And then he's got this awkward dilemma where if he drops Jake, how does the playing group react to that?
Yeah.
Is there a revolt against him for that decision? Does he rest him, or does he axe him out of the side completely, or does he put him back to the bench? It's a pretty unique set of circumstances, Darcie.
I don't think you can rest him. It's one or the other. There's no point in just delaying a decision that is obviously something that he might be dabbling with or flirting with. The thing with Jake is, like, I look at Tom as a leader, and he strikes me as the type of guy that leads by his actions. And I think if there were other captaincy options, I don't know if Tom would have been the first person to put his hand up and say, I will captain the team. I tend to think he was probably just the best option, because Jake isn't going to be on the field for 80 minutes each week. But then if you lose Jake, I don't know who's going to be that person that's going to gather the boys in the in goals after a try and yell in their faces and motivate them and inspire them, because I can't see Tom doing that. It's not his demeanour. But Jake, he's so passionate and he can fire people up. So you're right. It's you kind of have to weigh up, what does Jake bring in terms of skill and physicality. He's dropping off. We know that. Like, there's no point in dancing around that. He's getting older. He's not as good as what he used to be. But if you take him out of the side, who is going to be that motivator? I don't know.
Brandon, can you solve this conundrum for Siebes at the Seagulls?
I think Michael Maguire nailed it in Origin, playing for the first 20 minutes. Bring him on in the end if you have to. He's the glue of that side, so I don't think you can drop him. And Anthony Seibold, in the position he's in, I think it's career suicide if he drops Jake. So, and plus Manly's backup depth is abysmal. They've got nothing, so it'd be silly of him to drop Jake completely. I think he had 3 runs in his last game for 23 metres. Like, his impact on the field is not living up to standard. He's tackling his ass off. He's trying his heart out. But maybe there's a part of him that is worried about that last concussion. He was quoted in the off-season saying one more concussion and he could be done. So maybe he's holding himself back as well. So he's probably got to have an honest conversation with himself nearly at the end of the season or some point soon. But I think he's still the glue of that side. There's no one really barking the tree down. They've got 2 injuries to the forwards at the moment in Takiaho, and Caleb Navale's out for the season with an ACL. So there's no point doing it now, but it's a conversation down the track I think the club are going to have to make.
In defence of Jake, and like I said, I don't really follow all the statistics and who made how many hit-ups and how many metres and all that sort of jazz. You'll read it in match reports and you'll often hear it weaved into commentary. Jake was never a bloke who went out and made 200 metres like Payne Haas or Joe Tarpanay or James Fisher-Harris. That's never been his go. His go is he's the glue in the middle of the field defensively. He does all the little 1% clean-up work around the ruck that a lot of people probably don't always see to the untrained eye. and he's a Lionheart as a leader in terms of, I like your idea. I really like that concept of, and that was why Madge made him captain. And it was controversial at the time because he was only getting limited minutes. But I think you got to start the game with him. Just say, mate, just start the chainsaw up and give me what you got for as long as you can go. And then I'll give you a freshen up. And then you just assess how the run of play is rolling and how you want to utilise your interchange. I would also say, though, in relation to career suicide for Anthony Seibold, I've seen coaches make very tough decisions over the years. You can go all the way back to when Wayne Bennett sacked Wally Lewis at the Brisbane Broncos, which was so left field and so unheard of at that time. We're talking about the late 80s. Like that was just you didn't touch golden statues like Wally Lewis is or was in Queensland and still is today. But Wayne knew that he had to do something because he needed to get a reaction out of the entire playing group and the team, and he was coaching for his own career, so he made the hard decision. So we'll leave that up to Anthony Seibold, but I'll tell you what, it's a fascinating watch Thursday night because there's going to be another 100 narratives out of that game. Now, the Broncos end a 10-year hoodoo in Melbourne. Darce, what a ripping game this was.
Just the bloody Broncos. Like, just when you think they're down and out, they come back and they say, nah, full on, shame on you for thinking that we couldn't do it this year. What a grand final rematch. Like, and you know what? That just shows that they can get up for anything. If they need to get up for a big game, they will get up for a big game. I know we all cast doubt over them after a bit of a topsy-turvy start to the season, but they will be there come September because when it comes crunch time, their stars know how to deliver, and they did it without Adam Reynolds. Jordan Ricky has some quiet moments, scores a double. Tony Staggs, he was fired up. To be down, 14-0 at half time, and then to come back and not concede a point. And it was a really impressive and dominant performance and one that club needed.
The thing I like, there's no question Brisbane and Madge specifically, and don't forget Madge cut his teeth under Craig Bellamy, so he understands the inner workings of that sanctuary better than most. Madge has come up and devised a blueprint and a game plan to unsettle Melbourne's clinical rhythm. It worked in the grand final last year. Now they've ended a decade-long hoodoo. There's something in those hoodoos. Yeah. There's a reason, but there's rhyme and reason behind those hoodoos. They're a real thing. So, look, congratulations to Madge and the Broncos. Error-riddled and clunky in the first half, Brandon, but I'll tell you what, when they come out in the second half, all of a sudden they had a little bit of a different feel about them.
Must have been a nice spray. I just want to say,
I don't know whether Madge can keep spraying because he would have given him a lot of. He would have given him a lot. He would have taken the paint off the walls plenty of times over the last 18 months.
How do you keep lifting the sprays?
This is it. There's only so many times that spittle all over everywhere works.
I did hear that coaches have what's the limit, like 2 or 3 sprays a year or something?
That's the general rule of thumb is that you can only do them 2 to 3 times in the modern game. I think in the old days,
every week.
I know players used to joke about you need raincoats and umbrellas going in to see Craig Bellamy at half time. If you were trailing on the scoreboard or if you'd been making errors, dropping the ball, missed tackles, any of that. But yeah, the general rule of thumb is only 2 or 3 these days.
Maybe for Madge, it's staying silent and saying absolutely nothing. I've heard coaches do that, and it's more effective than a spray.
I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed.
Jeez, I've had that lecture a few times.
I just want to say, I didn't doubt the Broncos. I actually tipped them, and you were on this show last week. You were very surprised when I come out and tipped them. So just want to point that out.
That's all right. Give yourself a wrap. That's good. We like that.
Didn't win my Friday fill up though, but that's all right.
I was going to bring that up later, but that's okay. Go on.
I think the Broncos, their style of play, it worked last year, but I fear that this year it's not going to be enough because they are the hunted, and those first 2 games they probably would have won last year, but because they are the hunted now and they're the premiers coming into this season, I fear teams are just going to try and be relentless with them. It worked for them on the weekend on Friday night, but I think considering how the top 4 teams in the ladder at the moment are playing, I don't know if they can do this against those four teams. Like, yeah, they did against Melbourne on Friday. That's completely different. But the Dogs, the Warriors and Penrith are just a different gravy at the moment. I don't know if they can beat them at their best at this point in time.
And to do that each week.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
Like they've got to get rid of their errors. They've got to be playing a lot better than what they played on the weekend. But that's what they can pull out, and that's what they did, and that's how they won a premiership last year.
The reason they'll be optimistic is to go to Melbourne. It's a very unhappy venue for them. To smash that 10-year hoodoo, to be able to fight back from a 14-0 deficit at halftime. All of those things give them reason and belief. They've done it without their number one halfback in Adam Reynolds. And they were horrible in the opening 40 minutes. It looked as though it was going to be a continuation of what we'd seen in the opening couple of rounds, where they were average, not at the races against Penrith, and then gave up a 20-0 lead or whatever it was against the Eels. So I think there's plenty of reason for confidence amongst the Broncos. I disagree. I think they'll be in the top four for sure. They've got what it takes. They have the best depth to lose your strike halfback and be able to bring in a player like Ben Hunt, who's won premierships, played for Queensland, played for Australia multiple times, different positions. That's a good scenario to be in.
Just on that, the missing their halfback, the case is building up for games without Adam Reynolds. They've really performed in, haven't they?
What are the numbers?
Oh, I haven't looked at the numbers in particular, but the grand final he went off at halftime with a hamstring injury.
Was it halftime? I thought it was a bit after.
After halftime.
Yeah.
And then the 5 games leading up to the final series without him, they absolutely blitzed the competition.
Well, he was there when they went on the epic run in September.
He was there for the preliminary and half of the grand final.
Okay.
He wasn't there for week 1 against Canberra.
He didn't play against the Raiders.
Ben Hunt.
That's right. Hunt kicked the field goal.
And Billy Walters did his ACL in that game.
That's right.
Yes.
Billy was in there. Yeah, okay.
So
now, look, if I'm still picking my Broncos best 17, I've got Adam Reynolds as my halfback.
100%. He's the best halfback at the club. It's concerning for me that they play their best footy without him, but you wouldn't make the decision to drop him or anything.
No,
but
gives you confidence, though, for when he does retire, that this team's going to be just fine.
It's a good headache to have.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
Further to that point, they got Jonah Pezzett coming in next year. So that just shows the Broncos doing a lot of good things in the recruitment space as well. I'll tell you one thing that they're not doing so well in is this petulant, piss-weak decision to get rid of Gordon Tallis's name out of their training facility at Red Hill. Talk about pathetic. Whichever pencil neck who's hiding behind a spreadsheet and thinking that they've had a little small victory today by coming up with that call needs a good hard look in the mirror, because whether you like it or not, Gordy won 3 premierships with the club, captain Queensland, captain Australia, captain the Broncos, and won a Clive Churchill medal in that jumper. You can't erase that from history. So I just think it's sad that it's got to this. It's petulant and it's nitpicking. And to their CEO, Dave Donaghy, I'm not sure why you would have thought you needed to go down this road, but it's done now. I also feel for Ali Brigginshaw as well in all of this, because her name has now inadvertently and unnecessarily been dragged into a shit fight that she's got nothing to do with. It's not her fight. She's got absolutely zero skin in this brawl. So it's a real shame when you see it come to this. And more to the point, if you had to explain this story to anybody from outside rugby league in less than 20 to 30 words, they'd be pissing themselves laughing at how childish and ridiculous the whole thing is. So Gordy will always be a legend of the Broncos. You can't take that. You can't erase that out of history. But moving on, up the Waz. How good was it? Tell you what, Tanner Boyd, what a player. Is he off contract, do we know? Because if he is, I'm in the queue. I want to get in the queue right now.
Shane Flanagan. Get in queue. Get in line.
But Darcie, I'll tell you what, the Waz, well, it's not just what Tanner Boyd's doing. He's doing it off the back of a dominant forward pack led by James Fisher-Harris. Mitch Barnett returned.
Yeah.
And was a huge inclusion for them. And the bloke who's really kicking the door off the hinges is Jackson Ford.
Yes.
His game, a South Coast junior, you touched on the Dragons a second ago there.
Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you what, how the Dragons have let him slip through the cracks, because since he has gone to the Wars and they've developed him into a middle forward. He was an edge back rower when he come through at the Red V. He's one of the best players in form, prop forwards in the competition at the moment.
They do well with their recruitment, don't they?
Very well.
Warriors. They
Very
seem
good.
to, like find those diamonds in the rough.
Yep.
When we speak about before the Storm, finding someone, or
Yeah.
the Panthers with like a Paul Alamotti and that's what Tanner Boyd was. He was touted as the next Alfie Langer or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah.
Didn't kick on at the Titans. Goes over to the Warriors for a few years, actually waits his turn, like plays a full season of New South Wales Cup last year, gets his confidence up, learns that system from top to bottom, and comes in with his opportunity. And hasn't been a fluke. It's been consistent form. Like he is playing with so much confidence. And I'll die on this hill again. I say it all the time, how beneficial it is for a playmaker to spend at least one season in reserve grade to hone in on your craft. And he has done that, and he is reaping the rewards. And yeah, if I'm the Warriors, I am locking him down, or if I'm a rival club that is in need for some depth in the halves, I am knocking on his door right now.
What's some possible destinations?
I think the Dragons should have a look at him.
Okay.
I don't know if they're settled. Well, they might say they're settled, but I don't know if Dan Atkinson and Kyle Flanagan are the answer.
Yep.
You've got Tanner Boyd, who is flying at the moment. He's more of that traditional halfback as well. I think any club that's a little shaky in the half should be having a look at him.
Absolutely.
Don't know if the Warriors are going to let him go, though. That's another
well, that's
conversation.
it. Yeah, I'm sure Cameron George, the WAS CEO, he's an avid watcher and listener of this program. No doubt he'll be sharpening the pencil as we speak and trying to get a deal done with Tanner, because, look, to be brutally honest, guys, I thought Tanner Boyd had probably missed his opportunity when he couldn't kick on at the WAS. He was so dominant as a emerging player coming through, and for the Australian schoolboys, when he didn't quite cut it in first grade, and I think he's mid-20s now. He might be 25.
25, yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of felt like, oh, geez, I don't know if he's going to get there and going to be a 100, 200 game NRL player. Well, I'll tell you what we've seen so far this year, I take it all back. He is in majestic form. He's playing with time. He's playing with composure. His kicking game is elite. His decision-making has improved out of sight. It's an example of really good coaching. And to your point, Darcie, he's gone back to New South Wales Cup. He's learned the WAS system. He's obviously worked extremely hard over the summer with Andrew Webster. They knew that Luke Metcalf wasn't going to be available for the beginning of this year, and he has just fitted in seamlessly. How have you got the WAS at this point in time, Brandon?
Well, just on Tanner Boyd, he was an Australian schoolboy coming through, and the Titans messed around with him and played him at number 9 for a long period of time. So came through the system last year, not expected to be the starting halfback of the club. It was always going to be Luke Metcalf. Yeah. So in the preseason just gone, it's his first full preseason training as the starting halfback. So I think there's something in that, and we've seen in the past that halves don't really hit their peak until later in their 20s. Like Cody Walker didn't debut till he was 26. Jamal Fogarty has really come leaps and bounds since he's become older. So I think he looks so good on the weekend. So I think he's in for big things. And when Luke Metcalf comes back, surely Luke Metcalf plays 6 and Tanner Boyd stays in the side.
That's what I'm thinking.
Oh, geez, that's a big call early doors. You want Metcalf to wear the 5'8" jumper?
Yeah, I think so.
I think he would thrive.
Yeah.
I think he's a natural player.
I think you got to pair them together. But I don't know. It was Metcalf's jumper, and he was leading the Dally M last year.
I don't think Metcalf's going to care if he's wearing 6 or 7.
Okay.
If it's for the sake of the team and Tanner Boyd's flying and he's playing his best footy in that 7 jumper, it's not really a demotion. It's just...
Could be like a Trindle-Hines combination where Trindle's the 6, but he's the organiser and Hines is the attacking spark in the side.
Does anyone know, did Metcalf I've got a feeling, did he come through as a 6?
He did, yeah.
I think he
and a
might have.
fullback
And a
as
fullback.
well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
So
At
that's why he
Cronulla,
could
yeah.
thrive.
Yep.
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
that
no, look,
position.
I'm not against it. I think Boyd, no doubt, you're spot on, guys. Boyd has to be in the side the way that he started. So it's a good position for the Wars to be in. They're going to have depth with Chanel Harris-Tavita when he comes back as well. But, yeah, the prospect of a Boyd and Metcalf combination for the Wars, the only way is up. For the Knights, look, it was a tough watch given I don't think you can't have too higher expectations when you've got $2.7 million of your salary cap sideline, your best primary 2 playmakers. What was our take on Newcastle, Darcie?
They tried, but they just, without Ponga and Brown, they just can't compete with a red hot Warriors side. And they're going to just have to hold on and fight for these next, another 5 or so weeks.
It's a while.
Yeah. And Fletcher Sharp's touch and go week in, week out.
So hopefully he comes back because he was a late scratching last week. So hopefully he comes back, adds a little bit more spark. And then, it's just it's actually really cruel when you think about it. For poor old Justin Holbrook, first season in the job in Newcastle. The club goes all in on Dylan Brown. We know Kalen Ponga is their main man, and to lose both of them in the same game and then have to play the Warriors who are in red hot form, it's tough. Who do they have this week? Oh, the Dogs.
You should know that.
I should know that. Yeah, far out. It's going to be tough for them over this next month or so. But if they can string maybe 2 wins, I think that they'll do well. I think that's pretty good for them.
Yeah, they looked a lot better than they did last year in attack. They look threatening. I think just the Warriors are so good at the moment.
Yeah.
They're hard to crack. They still scored 12 points and they look like they could have scored more. So I still think it's positive signs for them because their defense was there last year. It was just the attack that was worrying. But they looked positive in attack at least. Fletcher Hunt, I thought he did a pretty good job considering. I think he's been a decent replacement to come in, but hopefully Fletcher Sharp comes in and just adds something. Bit concerned about his knee injury though. I heard on the radio that it was he didn't have stability in his knee, so week in, week out, it's going to be an issue, I reckon.
They got plenty of strike on their edges with the wingers, Marzu and Young. I really like Dylan Lucas, who I think you put in your Friday fill up. He's a strike edge back rower. Trey Mooney, so I think he's got to wait and see what's going on.
I think he's out. I think he was suspended.
1 to 2 weeks,
Right. Okay, well, see, that's a big blow because
unless he fights it at the judiciary. But
Good point. But I think he in the opening couple of rounds absolutely paved the way for setting things up for the halves and the fullback to have more time and space. You guys are right. I think if they can just pinch a couple of wins while they're missing the big name, big gun players, then once they get everybody back on deck, we saw what they could do in the opening couple of rounds. They started 2-0. Phins up. Here we go. The Phins are up as the Sharks get mauled on home soil. Look, the scoreline blew out in the last 5 or 6 minutes when the Dolphins were able to score 3 quick tries. I think that flattered the result, maybe made it look a little bit more lopsided than what it was. But at the same time, if I'm Cronulla, there's concerns there, Darcie.
Yeah, look, Cronulla are a defensive. Well, that's a lie. They have a lot of strike and attack too. But Fitzy, he's a defensive-minded coach. So he'd be pretty pissed with leaking 38 points. Like you said, a few of them were 3 tries were in the last 6 minutes, which if you want to be a premiership contender, you can't switch off in the last 10 minutes and let that many tries in. Or if you let a soft try in, you need to switch back on quick smart because the Dolphins have had a pretty underwhelming start to the season going into this game, and they made the Dolphins look like they were premiership contenders. It was pretty disappointing. If I was a Sharks fan, I'd be, annoyed, especially because that club cops so much shtick for not being the real deal, not being contenders, and they're pretenders, and that game is not going to help that reputation. Fitzy said in his presser, maybe they need a hurt that hurt, and maybe that's what they need. They need to hurt to spark a reaction. There were moments where, Trindle and Nico looked a little lost, I think. Yeah, back to the drawing board. They need to respond. Because
Trindle looked a bit crook at stages.
Yeah.
He actually looked like he was physically.
Yeah, right.
I don't know whether he had a bug or the flu or something going in the game. No, I mean it. When they come out after half time, they pan to him and he dead set looked like he was about to have an up and under as they're about to kick off.
Maybe that's, something.
It
he
was
was
a
carrying
milestone.
something.
It was a milestone game for him as well.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he would have wanted to feature in it. He had a lot of friends and family there. But Shark Park after dark, traditionally a very tricky place to. What are you laughing at?
It's very clever.
Traditionally a very difficult place to travel to. I think they'd won their last 8 games straight. Brandon at Shark Park. We'll just crunch those numbers. Yes, that's correct. I read that earlier. So, to drop a game like that, they would have had this in the calendar as a guaranteed couple of points. I think Fitzy will be sharpening the blade at training this week. As you touched on, Darcie, defensively, certainly that's where the area of the game that Fitzy absolutely prides the Sharks on. And then in attack, they lacked some creativity. They lacked some flair. So they're going to need to try and find some answers there as well. I'll tell you what I found interesting, Brandon. Blake Brayley was on report for a trip on the Hammer, which the referee at the time seemed pretty concerned about. But then he's only got the $1,500 fine. Is that right?
Yeah, $1,500 fine.
Mate, if that's Hargraves or Victor Radley, they're probably getting sent off. And they'd be having at least a 2-week sit down. I don't know about you guys. Tripping, back in the old days, tripping was a massive no-no. It was like biting. Like you just didn't do it. It was, seriously. Tripping was a bit, nowadays, hang on, it's Blake Brayley. He's played 133 consecutive games. He's a great fella. Blake Brayley is a great fella. I've been lucky enough, I've worked with him on a couple of occasions and I've met him a few times. Great fella. And I reckon the koala bear defence has come into play here. And because he is such a good bloke, they've gone, hang on, no, he wouldn't. And it's on. He's lucky the hammer didn't get hurt. Because if the hammer got hurt as a result of it, I think we're looking at a very different set of circumstances.
I need to go back and have a look at past charges for tripping.
Like I said, in the old days it was a big no-no, but I've noticed more recently with the way that the game's evolved and everything, players try and sort of just discreetly weave it in occasionally, but it's a no-go zone. Anyway, the Phins will be heading into the Battle of Brisbane full of confidence. What an epic game that presents as. Brandon, your read on the Sharks. Did you have any take on where you think things went wrong? Yeah,
I thought it was disappointing how the first 25 minutes, there wasn't a lot of changeover. There was a lot of ball in play. I thought the Sharks would have really capitalised after that because that leans into their style of footy, just fast on the front foot footy, and they didn't capitalise on that. So I think the first half not scoring more points was probably their downfall. But that being said, if we're going to say, and we agreed with Maddie that they could beat every side by 50, and we're going to judge them on how they perform in finals, I think that's the case here. That we'll just let it go. I'm sure they'll bounce back. That they've have enough runs on the board that they've made the top 4 and top 8 consecutively in consecutive years. So I think as long as they bounce back in the coming weeks and they don't become a habit of it, they're fine.
Now, glory to South Sydney, Saturday night up at Gosford. I love those scenes.
Great stadium.
It is. It's a cool stadium. It's rugby league heartland.
Yeah.
People of Sunny Coast really dyed-in-the-wool blue-collar footy types, and they came out in force. But, look, it was glory to South Sydney, but not according to Wayne Bennett.
Yeah.
He was chewing broken glass and pulling journos up and asking them what game they'd watched, and it was pretty funny, the press conference.
Why was he so cranky?
Oh, that's just Clint Bennett, Wayne Eastwood. That's how he rolls. I think they'd got the 2 points. He obviously thought, and this isn't a sledge on West Tigers, but I reckon maybe in Wayne's head that he thought they should have handled them pretty comfortably. I thought the Tigers threw a lot at them, and the Tigers absolutely were in the contest. I like what Benji Marshall's doing with the West Tigers. He has them competing on every play. They're all invested. I like the style they're playing with Appy. Basically just reading the tempo of the game, and then Jerome and Adam Dewey then calling the shots off the back of that. Jai Gray for the Bunnies. He's my flying. Our award-winning segment, multi-award-winning segment across all platforms of media. Flying and fizzing. Jai Gray, the little Bunnies, Energizer Bunny number 1. He is my flying for the week. When he went off, that's when South's got the death wobbles and started to look quite shaky. He scored the opening try of the game, came up with a game-saving play on a forward who, it was a winger, sorry. He played in the centres, didn't he, Jarrell Skelton?
No, he played wing.
Oh, he did play.
Like
That's
named
right.
on the wing
He
back.
got
Yeah.
named in the centres. That's right.
Yep.
And then Tito ended up playing in the centres. But he's a weapon, Jarrell Skelton.
Yes.
Like trying to stop him that close to the line. And Jai Gray just being prepared. He reminds me a lot of Jeff Tuvey. He's that style of lion-hearted player where they'll put their head where a lot of players wouldn't be brave enough to put their
And he
boots.
can out-leap players that are so much taller than him too. Like
he's dead set. He's jockey height.
Yeah.
Like
I have a bone to pick about his height because I think on the Rabbitohs or the NRL website it says he's like, can you tell me what it says? I think it says like 170 or something like that.
No, he's not 170.
He's shorter than me.
He's 168.
Yeah, it's
but
a lie.
it says
Right.
1.7.
I'm 166.
Okay.
And he's shorter than me.
Okay.
I think they like to add a little bit of like.
Oh, they've definitely put a little bit of
I think
mayonnaise on.
Reed Marnie says it's like 170. He ain't 170. I'm sorry, guys, but
We're debunking all the biggest myths in the game right here, right now. No, look, that doesn't surprise me in the least that they're trying to just look after blokes a little bit. But I tell you what, it's not going to make a difference once you're out on the field because they're still going to get found out, targeted, and have to try and handle a variety of different scenarios. So, he's just such a wholehearted player.
He's great.
Jai Gray, everything about him from his support play to his speed. He's taken a lot of pressure off Latrell because Jai Gray can now be that work rate, million miles an hour fullback at the back. And Latrell can just pick his times when he wants to leave his imprint and his strike power on the game. And Souths are better for it. What did we make of, well, firstly, what do we make of Cranky Wayne?
honestly,
Predictable?
Yeah, but he needs to lighten up sometimes. Like, I think he was asked about Moala Graham Taufa, right? Like club debut, and he had nothing nice to say. And you got a feel for Cameron Murray, who just has to pick up where Wayne isn't willing to answer a question, and he has to go, oh yeah, he's trained really well, blah, blah, blah. And like poor Cam, like the nicest guy in rugby league, he sits there like, what is my coach going to come out with? Look, I get anxiety every time I have to go into a Wayne Bennett press conference because you just never know what you're going to get. But I want to highlight the Tigers. I feel really good about the Tigers. They lost Adam Dewey, they lost Jerome Luai, and their heads didn't go down. Like, they kept fighting. I think they really can make a run for finals. I know I'm going off early, but I'm seeing a lot of promise with them. It's only been a few rounds, but I feel really positive vibes about that team. They have improved so much over the last couple of seasons, and it's about time. And I'm happy for the Tigers fans.
I'm with you. The only thing that I do have reservations about are those injuries to Jerome and to Adam Dewey. So even their backup number 7, so they got Jock Madden and Latu Fainu as depth for the roster, but I don't know that Latu's
He's not ready.
Available.
He's not ready yet.
Right.
He's just started contact. So
what's his injury?
Shoulder. He had a shoulder reconstruction or something.
Okay. Right.
So he's just started contact again, and I think they're looking at putting him back through New South Wales Cup before he does come back. So
yep.
Could you put Appy in the halves?
I reckon that's what they might. Benji did that last year. I reckon that might be the way that they have to roll Darcie because otherwise it's just a little skinny. Who does that mean the dummy half is? Tristan Ho?
Yeah.
Can he do 80 minutes though?
Yeah.
I thought when he came on the field, his energy was good, but he had 2 runs late at dummy half, which really it cost him a tackle towards the end, and they were fighting for the game. The Jerome Luai and Adam Doueihi injury, they're pretty long as well. Like the Jerome Luai, they said it's not an ACL, it's probably a PCL, which is more than 6 weeks. And the Adam Doueihi hamstring injury, he was holding up very high. So it seems like a really bad hamstring injury.
Well, you could hardly, the poor bugger, I feel for Adam because
he's looked good.
He made that number 7 jumper his own.
Yeah,
you could see that he was enjoying having full control of the side. And reveling in that additional responsibility, whereas to be ruled out now, he could hardly walk from the field. So I feel for him. Look, you're right, Dust. There is plenty of reason for optimism at the West Tigers, but those couple of key injuries, as we've seen with the Knights, I think that is going to be a little bit of a hiccup for them that Benji and the squad have got to try and handle over the course of the next little while.
Similar to the Knights, if they just need to hang on,
get
a few wins through, and then once they're back,
absolutely,
they can play Heath Mason at 5'8" with Jock Madden at halfback. I think that works all right.
Yeah, I quite like that.
Keeps happy at 9.
Well, it's young and it doesn't upset. It's fresh legs, it's enthusiasm, and it doesn't upset Appy, who is the primary conductor of that side. Everything good Appy creates, and then the rest rolls off the back of it. Righto, and the final game, actually, no, it wasn't the final game. It was the second last game on Sunday. Parramatta have upstaged St George Illawarra. I was trying to come up with the right word there. They've sent St George Illawarra crashing to a 0-3 start. That's where I wanted to get to. What did we think of this one, Das?
I thought the Dragons were so disappointing, first of all. And I said leading into this game that this was going to be the game that could give you a proper read on both of these sides, because the Eels had that really tough start to the year. The Dragons had Vegas and then the Storm, and they kind of fought in both games, but they were kind of facing a team that was similar quality-wise. And the Eels, a deserved win, because the Dragons really threw not much, to be honest with you. Devastating for Jermaine Hopgood, ACL injury out for the year. Josh Addo-Carr, his speed just proves to you how beneficial, how much of a weapon he can be when it comes to picking up on a loose ball and running down the field. Jonah Pezzett had some good moments. The Dragons just. Yeah, I don't know how to fix what's wrong there. They lack so much direction, and they lack at moments effort, which is a shame, because in round 1 I thought they fought right to the end.
They even fought in round 2, as well against the Storm. It was only Suafolongo completely lighting it up and scoring 3 tries as the game was wearing on. To yesterday, though, Darcie, I'm with you. I think they look pedestrian in attack.
That's a good word.
They're way too sideways.
Yep.
I think this is the risk you run when you roll with the buzzword of this season, a hybrid halfback. Like Daniel Atkinson hasn't played a lot of genuine 7. I far prefer your traditional halfbacks who've come through wearing the number 7, organising a side, organising the forward pack, directing traffic, similar to the way that Tanner Boyd is doing it at the moment at the Wars. Nathan Cleary's obviously the best in the business at NRL level. But the Dragons, their attack looked impotent at times. Like even when Luciano scored that try where he's had to cut back in and score under the post, there wasn't really a whole lot doing. They hadn't really been building towards anything. It was more just he went, give me the ball and I'm going to go left foot, right foot, and just see if I can create something out of nothing, and ended up storming over under the posts. Jaden Sewer, I'm a big fan of. I think he always gives everything that he's got. That try that he scored was awesome. Like that was probably the best piece of play from the Dragons' attack all day. But certainly I think there's some big decisions to be made there in terms of whether they persevere with that combination that they've got going in the halves. I can't see Flano dropping Kyle. I just don't think he'll go down that road. I think if he was going to do it, he probably would have had to already make that decision previously. But if the losses continue to mount...
Yeah. The problem is, though, they don't really have that much
Yeah.
depth
No.
in the halves.
No,
Like
well,
you've
Jonah
got-
Glover ended up going to
yeah,
South.
so you've got Lycan King Togia, or they bought a guy, Joseph O'Neill, who was at the Dogs.
Yep.
Who is, I guess, more of a traditional halfback, but he hasn't played first grade.
Yeah.
So I don't you can't expect these two young guys to come in and be the solution. They've kind of done this to themselves. They've stuffed up by going all in on Kyle and Dan Atkins. Look, we should probably give Atkinson a little bit more time. It's a new club and whatnot. But, yeah, they don't really have an option to come in. So they're going to have to persevere, I feel like, unless you bring in Lycan. He was pretty good. Who was that young guy in the trial?
Cade
Cade
Reid.
Reid. That's it. But I think he's
He's in the top 30 and he's got a 3-year contract at the moment.
Okay.
So he is their
Yeah.
future.
But is he a now? Probably.
Yeah, I heard in the preseason that he's probably still a
Bit
year
raw.
away at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, they haven't really got much backup, do they? And it was so evident last year. They lost so many games by 1 point, 2 points, and it's just their organisation, which is so off.
You
at
could
the
see
moment.
it. There was a moment in the game where they had like a 3-man overlap down the left
Yeah.
edge.
Yes.
And Gutho comes running back into the right and just gets tackled. And you just think, like, where's the footy smarts or the vision to be able to just
yell to your
call it,
teammate,
yell
pass
it.
the ball.
Yeah,
Even the
yeah,
outside
yeah.
backs call
Yeah.
for it. Like
Yeah.
all the Dragons fans were blowing up on social media about that. I saw so
Yeah.
many videos. It was literally,
Yeah, it was
I reckon it
everywhere.
was 5 or 6 on 2, like ridiculous. So
Yeah.
they've got a halves issue for
I don't
sure.
know, like whose fault is that? Is that the Halves? But
Yeah,
Is
probably,
it, or
probably
is
not.
it-
But yeah, who can you put in? You can't really put anyone in. But
Yeah.
it seems like they're refusing to recruit as well.
Yeah.
in the halves,
Refusing to recruit.
it feels like it. Or are they just not landing them?
or is there a
'Cause-
shortage?
Well, look, there is a little bit of a shortage in terms of there's plenty of clubs that would love
Yeah.
better depth around the halves position. But you made my ears prick up there because, Flano's obviously the coach. He's pushed his chips all in with Kyle as he's 5'8". And if there isn't a whole lot of other depth there, well, clearly that's on him. Like, he's made that
Yeah.
call. He's decided it's going to work. He's going to make it work. But from the evidence we've seen so far this year, and they were unlucky against the Dogs, and they showed some very strong signs against the Melbourne Storm. I thought yesterday was by far their most abysmal performance
Yeah, easily.
for the season.
Yeah.
They could have very easily, they had enough ball, they had enough penalties, they had enough field position to win that game. Flano even said it himself.
Yep.
We beat ourselves.
And they have enough experience to be able to win a game. Valentine Holmes, Clint Gutherson, Damien Cook. They've got the older heads there to know how to win a game.
Yeah.
And they've all been part of winning cultures before. It's just not transferring to the field. It's a fascinating environment, the Dragons, because what would happen if the players were to go to Coach Flano, and say, Coach, we need a change. We need a change in the halves. We need more out of the halves or something like that. Are they in a position where it's safe enough to say that?
Yeah, you raise a great point. It's the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
It is the elephant in the room big time. I've heard that those conversations maybe have been had, right? Not directly with Flano, but certainly amongst some of the players, that they're not 100% certain. Or what I've definitely heard is that it's a delicate balancing act, because when you've got a father and son combination, and take the Clearys out of it,
Yeah.
right? Because they got 4 comps and 4 Proven Summons trophies sitting in the cabinet at home, at the Panthers Centre of Excellence.
Maybe at home.
Panthers Academy. Maybe at home too. They might have got replicas. But we've seen other coaches try and go down this road. Like Brad Arthur found himself in an awkward position at Parramatta with his young bloke Jake. Great fella, young Jakey, good player. Jury's still out whether he is going to make it as an NRL player. And Kyle's probably similar. I don't know how many NRL games Kyle has played now, but
Over 100, I think.
it is over 100. Yep. But he obviously come through at Cronulla. The Roosters targeted him, but then they also got rid of him after only 12 months. And then Canterbury, it didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
And Canterbury wanted him at that time. Trent Barrett was the coach. He actively was like, he's the type of organisational halfback that can value add to our side. That obviously didn't work out. And then now he's having another crack at the Dragons. So the way I've heard it from around the club is that, there are times where it is a little bit walking on eggshells, because if players might want to have a bit of banter about Flano as the head coach and Kyle's around, well, that's awkward.
True.
Or vice versa, if they want to have the tough conversation and go to him about what's going on in the halves and whether they think that's the best direction for the club, can they do that as well?
And you need to have a safe, open relationship with your coach if you're a senior player.
Of course.
To be able to go to the coach and say, look, I think I can't play with this guy, or I think he's not quite up to it, or I think he would benefit from a spell in New South Wales Cup.
Yep.
And this goes with Kyle and Dan Atkinson. This is not just
this
Kyle.
is any
This is
player.
any player.
Yeah,
Any
this
player.
is any half.
Yeah, not even just the halves, any player. But you need to be able to have those conversations. And I'd love to know whether those senior players would feel comfortable to go to Flano and have that conversation, or do they feel like they just have to zip it?
I think Kyle is by far the best player available at that club to play in that position. And I feel like I understand that these conversations are awkward to have and all that sort of stuff, but there's no one else to come in.
That's it.
I feel like their issue is their halves, but they've got no one else. Dan Atkinson is their halfback. He's a hybrid half, as we've been saying. But there's no one else to come into that position. If you chuck a Cade Reid in there, then we've just been wrapping all these people for staying in reserve grade and biting their teeth through, or cutting their teeth, as you say, through the reserve grade. I think they're kind of stuck at the moment, and this is the best team for their side. Yeah. It's unfortunate that they're not getting wins, and Flano did say at the start of the year, we're not winning the comp this year. Maybe they're just realistic about it and that sticking to their systems, and just everyone needs to buy in. You need to find out who's going to buy in for when they do strike in the recruitment department.
Yeah, you're right. You cannot throw a Cade Reid in there because the team is not humming, and you throw a young half in there who's going to try and solve all the world's problems and he's not going to be able to realistically. It's going to burn his confidence, and he has to be a confidence player, a Cade Reid or a Larkin King Togia or whatnot. So, maybe we're sitting here dissecting going, they need a change in the halves. But Flano's already said we ain't winning the premiership.
What's the best thing for the future? And look at the Titans with Tanner Boyd, Ash Taylor, Tom Weaver. They chucked these guys in way too early, had way too much expectations on him. Maybe he's looking at Kyle and thinking, Kyle can just take the flack. The flack. He's going to take all the criticism, but we're building.
Yeah. He's the stopgap for now. And then until they find somebody, but I don't know.
It's a balancing act. It's a balancing act, and it's been a tightrope for the entire time that Kyle's been at the Dragons, because it didn't work out at the Bulldogs.
No.
And when he arrived, Flano was adamant that it was going to work out. Look, Kyle's shown some great moments in the NRL. He's shown that he is an NRL player. But when the Dragons lose games or start a season the way that they have, and now they get to a situation where they're 0-3, this is going to become a talking point. And I think where it is equally difficult is when you talk about depth and options and alternatives in those positions is, well, if there isn't really anything else there, then ultimately that's comes back to Flano as the coach of the side. That's where it gets very interesting.
And what's he been there for 2 or 3 years now? 2 years?
Flano's definitely had 2 years at the Dragons. Can you crunch those numbers for us over there?
I'll find that.
Controversially, I like Kyle Flanagan more as a hooker.
Yeah, I've had other people say that too.
He played at the back end of his time at the Dogs.
Yes.
He was playing Cup at hooker.
Yep.
And looked really good there. And then I think he played a few games off the bench as well at hooker.
He was meant to start a hooker for St. George, but then remember the Ronald Volkman injury happened early in the preseason, so that's when he got chucked into the halves.
And the reality is they don't need a hooker. They got Damien Cook and then one of my favourite players, Jacob Little. I was getting to Jacob Little. He's one of my favourite players. So they don't need a hooker. But I think put him at hooker and he can defend and he can pass. And he can just do his thing without having to conduct or anything like that. But the reality is they need halves, not hookers.
Yeah. Flanagan's been there since 2024, so this is your third season.
This is his third season. So it's interesting when you're heading into your third season and you make the statement like what Flano did before a ball was kicked, that no one's got us winning the comp this year. We're not winning the comp this year. I like the honesty. I like the no BS approach that's attached to that. But at the same time, it also does give your players a bit of an out.
Yeah.
And also, if you're a Damien Cook who's got maybe 1 or 2 years left,
100%.
you're thinking, well, sick, what am I doing here then? Like, where am I going to win the premiership that I can retire with?
Yeah, no, 100%. It was a different play. But I'll tell you what else was weird out of that game was that penalty try at the start. How did you guys see that?
I feel like it was a pretty fit, like it's, look, these are
Gutho
always.
was right there.
Yeah.
There's no way he was scoring it.
Yeah, I thought
Maybe.
I thought it was a bit far to be a penalty try because Gutho was there by the time the ball
It's a
was.
penalty and a sin bin every day of the week. I didn't think it was a penalty try.
Nah, no penalty try.
It's one and done now, so it doesn't matter anymore.
This is why I could never be a referee.
It's
Too indecisive.
All part of the rugby league round 3 activity.
Talking penalty tries, the Souths and Tigers game penalty try, the 8-point try on Latrell. Just like you were saying before, if Jared Weir or Hargraves tripped, do you think that was given an 8-point try because it was Latrell, not Dry Gray?
No.
No?
I think it was given an 8-point try because he got him flush on the chin. Was a little bit, I'll admit I was a bit surprised at the time. I was going, hang on, what's going on here? But then when I watched the replays, it wasn't because it wasn't the Latrell factor. That's my opinion anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know how you saw it, Darcy.
No, like it was a
He
high
got him.
contact.
Yeah. He got
Obviously,
him.
he was going to knock the ball out and got it wrong.
It wasn't premeditated or nasty or anything like that. He was actually genuinely trying to stop the try being scored. But when you get him flush the way that he did, I can understand why they came up with that decision. How did you see it?
Yeah, I thought it was fair, to be honest, but we just rarely see 8-point tries and there is always high contact when people are trying to stop a try. So I'm surprised we don't see it more, or that's why I was kind of surprised that was awarded.
Now, the Cowboys ease the heat on Todd Payton, Scotty Drinkwater. Fascinating story because there's a lot of reports going around at the moment that maybe the Cowboys are looking to move him on. There was question marks about whether he was going to be right to play that game against the Gold Coast yesterday, but he come up with an intercept pass early on, but then he also come up with a genius try. And they got the result. So how did you see this one, Darcy?
That's Scott Drinkwater, isn't it? Like, you know.
He's a gunslinger.
One bad thing, 2 good things. Like he's just, and that's the risk you take with a player like Scott Drinkwater. If they were to move him on, who are they going to?
I guess they're looking at Jackson Purdue, who they're trying to re-sign at the moment. He's playing in the centres, but he can certainly play fullback as well. So I guess, I don't know, there's that much uncertainty at that joint at the moment with Todd Payton's future obviously hugely in the air, and then Drinkwater also off contract. I don't think, stability isn't one of the primary things going on there right now.
And Scotty Drinkwater would be on decent money.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. He's a good player.
Is he off contract or is he?
I think, he's off. I think he's well, if he's not off, he's getting shot because it's been going around.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, look, it was a win that the Cowboys needed.
Like oxygen.
Yeah, maybe buys Todd Payton a little bit of time, but they need to continue on with this. Like the Titans are, like they're probably favourites or amongst the favourites for the spoon. So it doesn't really earn Cowboys big bragging rights, but it gives them it releases a little bit of air in that pressure balloon that's hovering over that club at the moment. Poor old Titans. I thought they competed the week before. They get Jaden Campbell back, and he is such a weapon. But to me, the Titans they're a team made up of incredible individual athletes, but put them all together, and it's like they're allergic to each other or something. Or like, when you get a magnet and you try to close and it's not quite connecting. That's how I see the Titans.
They got coronavirus. Titans.
I don't know what it is. Like individually, they come up with some brilliant things, and there's these brilliant strike weapon athletes that are fast and they're dynamic and they're powerful and they're skillful, and then put them all together and it's just allergic reaction.
We'll be sure to pass that on to the Titans' new owners, Matty Johnson, Gordy Tallis. I'm sure they'll be happy to know that.
Sorry, guys.
The entire Titans squad's like coronavirus or measles or something.
Look, all they need is just some antibiotics and
quick fix.
or what are they called? The
Saline
vaccination.
drips.
Just a vaccination, and we're good.
Okay, yeah, righto. Play on. Get the jab. Your take, Brandon, on that game between North Queensland and the Titans?
Thought Cowboys, it's typical Cowboys, isn't it? When the pressure's on, they seem to deliver, have a side like the Titans to come up against. I don't think the noise is going to go away, but it is good that the Cowboys have a team that can do this sort of stuff. So it's not surprising at all. Scott Drinkwater, I love Scott Drinkwater. He's rocks and diamonds. Tom Dearden, absolute weapon. Purdue at centre. I like Purdue at centre. So I hope they don't mess with that too much, although I feel like him at fullback earlier in the year was pretty good. As for the Titans, Jaden Campbell, he's just so good. He's such a weapon with the shining light in their side. Tino playing limited minutes, looking a bit underdone at the moment. I'm not sure what's going on there. I think the Titans are kind of like Parramatta last year, where they've probably got this year leeway. So I guess these earlier performances, we probably shouldn't be judging them too harshly. Just want to see how they end up and how they shape up towards the end of the season. I thought when Lockie Ilias came on, although he had limited touches, it just flowed a lot better for the side. I don't know if AJ
He was
brings,
only on for about 4 minutes.
I know, but I know, but I looked at them.
Impactful.
But I know, I understand that sounds stupid, but their formations in their back line and just how he was directing them, like he had a lot of energy when he came on, and he only had 3 minutes to show that. But I just feel like Lockie Ilias and Jaden Campbell could be a lot better combination than Brimson. I feel like Brimson isn't doing enough in the halves position. He is a great footy player. I rate him so highly, but I just think he can be utilised the same in the centres potentially.
He's probably a victim throughout his entire career of being one of those. He's a jack of all trades. Yeah, he can. I don't know what his best position is. He's a damn good fullback. He can do a job for you in the centres. He can play in the halves if need be.
He's a fullback,
but he's never really. You reckon his best position is fullback?
I think he should go to the Perth Bears and play fullback.
Yeah, okay.
But he's on a very long-term deal.
Yeah, I was going to say he
Titans.
is signed. I remember he signed for a number of seasons
This is
with
the thing
Gold
with the Titans.
Coast.
They've got too many good fullbacks because
Yeah,
I think
well, it
Jaden
was
Campbell's best position is fullback too.
Yeah, it was a similar. Well, Desi had the same issue when Des Hasler was coach there and tried a variety of different ways to
This is why
get it to fly.
This is why I feel like they're a team of these individual talents, because Jaden Campbell, Keanu Kinney, AJ Brimson are all their best positions are fullbacks, and they're trying to Des and Josh Hannay are trying to fit these individual talents somewhere into the side.
I feel like there's no issue with Campbell in the halves though, because I think he's exceeded, and I wouldn't want him a fullback anymore.
Oh, I think he'd be even better.
Yeah,
at
I know he would be, but like
I'm glad you raised that. His inclusion yesterday made them, to me anyway, their attack looks so much more threatening.
Yeah.
He's a live wire. He has a lot of similar traits with his old man Preston. He has got funnel webs on him whenever he touches the ball. His footwork is fantastic. He can change direction at speed. And he's a try scorer. He's got a knack of being able to find the try line. So I think they're an infinitely better team with Jaden in the setup. Maybe Josh Hannay might have a look at Brimson to the centres, and then that way you can complement the side and try and come up with a variety of different attacking focal points.
We've seen a lot of roaming centres come up and about recently, like Stephen Crichton for the Bulldogs.
Yeah. Joey Manu would do it.
Joey Manu, he was so good at Tommy Trebojevic in Origin. I think he will flourish in that position. It allows him and his best strengths to be utilised rather than worrying about having to organise as much.
Well, one good thing for the Gold Coast, the only way is up.
Yeah.
They've just got to get that first victory on the board.
And they could this week because 6:15 on Sunday, they're playing the other side who is 0-3 in the Dragons.
Oh, so someone's going to be 0-4.
Yep,
wow.
that's it.
To play
Oh,
for.
geez, I wouldn't want to be.
Pride.
Oh, yeah.
Pride to play
0-4, no. That's a very bad start to the season. Now, as we always do, our award-winning segments. Flying and fizzing. So we've kind of already touched on them, but we'll just underline them again. So I'm going flying Jai Gray, the Bunnies electric fullback, and fizzing. Oh, I'm going to go with Val Holmes out of the Dragons.
Okay.
I thought champion player, played for Australia, won premierships, played for Queensland, but I thought yesterday he had a bad day.
Yeah, he did. Moments that he'd like back for sure. My flying, I'm wheeling it all the way back to Thursday night. Connor Tracy, that guy, honestly, I'd probably trust my life with him. I was standing on the sideline. I was squatting on the sideline. I was so nervous. I thought this is going to be a long drive back to Sydney if they lose this. And when he was making that final try-saving, game-saving tackle, I said, that's it. I'm naming my firstborn Connor Tracy, hyphenated. He is just such an underrated, tough player. He might not be the fastest, the fanciest, the most skillful, but he puts his body on the line, and that's what a Bulldog is. He is all heart. Love watching him play, and love seeing him get the accolades that he deserves. My fizzing, I've kind of already said it, the Dragons as a whole. They were so disappointing after going right down to the wire in round one in Vegas, putting on a show. Their scramble defence in round one was outstanding. They put their gloves up against the Melbourne Storm in round two for a majority of the game. I had higher hopes for them this season. And look, of course, they can bounce back. But that game just left such a sour taste.
Such a winnable game for them too.
Yeah.
So my flying, Tanner Johns, as we call them now, I think he's been so good.
Tanner Johns. Who come up with that?
Did it down the grapevine, all the Warriors fans. And my fizzing is the Sharks. I thought the Sharks had a really good opportunity to bounce back from losing to Penrith last week, obviously being told they're the pretenders the last couple of years, and they come out with that performance on the weekend. I thought it was disappointing at home at a tough ground. That being said, the Dolphins did stand up, but I expected more from the Sharks.
Yeah, well said. I think everybody is, and I'm sure Fitzy will be fine-tuning them this week ahead of round 4. Now, as always, comments. We love your feedback. Like us, don't like us, put shit on us. However you decide to roll with it, we will always get to it. So a couple of comments out of last week's show. I'll tell you what, we've actually been inundated. The switchboards have lit up. The comment reels, they're free flowing. There's plenty of feedback. Have you guys left the studio since this show started? The output is crazy. Bulldogs will not come near winning a comp with that same spine.
I beg to differ.
Yeah, of course you will, Darcie. Of course you will. God love it. Can you guys talk about the Perth Bears on the next episode?
Oh, yeah.
Well, we can. There's a chance they might be going to Vegas.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
Viva Las Vegas. That was left field for me. They haven't locked anything in yet, but I know they're now in the mix as well. So there's a number of clubs vying to get over to Sin City.
We should dedicate an episode to building a bear.
Building a bear.
Build a bear. Remember the Build-A-Bear shop? And we should build their team.
I remember Humphrey B. Bear. I've dressed up in that outfit a few times in life, not with a lot of success, mind you.
Maverick Guy is close to signing with the Bears as well. So
there we go. That's why you're on the big bucks. See, you just had that little right bow in the top pocket.
No, I'm all around the Bears.
Out it comes where necessary. Hoops, as a marketing idea, you should sell T-shirts with your bonts on them. You'd sell at least 5. Okay, appreciate that feedback. Don't worry about Darcie's fashion sense. Her football analysis is right on the money. As for the rest of you blokes, your wardrobes looks like it's straight out of Tarot Cash. Rose Hill Races General Admission Winter Collection. That's pretty good, actually. I like that feedback.
That's
very
funny.
Good. So as we say, we will get to your comments every episode. We're here all the time, 24/7, 366 days of the year on Rugby League Insider. It's all shot out of Hyde Park House, the pub in the city. We're live on the YouTubes. Tune in via the podcast, and we'll see you all again tomorrow.